I think it's like
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on. Thank you very much, Ian Wright. People deluded, I'm back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, in some cases, good night. I hope you're doing well and safe. I hope you're having a progressive week. I hope you're all in good spirits. Appreciative of all of you lot tuned in. If you're on YouTube, please make sure you're smashing the like button, you're subscribing, you've got your notifications on, you're following on all my social platforms, Deluded Gooner 04 typically. And yeah, man, as usual, appreciative of you lot supporting. Check out the YouTube playlist. By now, you know, as we move closer to January, Arsenal are going to be linked with a bunch of players. We're going to be linked with a bunch of attacking players. We all know in the summer we tried to sign a central midfielder and a winger, and that looks like it remains the priority for Arsenal with Gabriel Jesus allegedly. Not that we've forgotten about that, but we're dead set on signing a striker if you believe reports, people. So enough waffling, enough rambling. Let's see what the papers are saying. As I say, the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. The bulk of these rumors are nonsense, but it just makes for good talking points. On the topic of talking points, people, please make sure you're commenting your opinions during this video premiering and also after. And check out my YouTube playlist for all the other transfer news. Now, it depends where you read, because allegedly during the World Cup, Arsenal contacted the reps of Dusan Vlahovic during the World Cup, with Manchester United and Chelsea also keen on the Juventus striker. Now, Juventus have run into financial problems and they might have to sell Vlahovic. You know, Vlahovic, bearing in mind, gave a big interview about he's been a Juventus fan. He's part of the DNA and all of this. And he's just, you know, January be a year since he signed for them. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Would you really want need a forward, in it? Just like we've all been linked with João Felix for different reasons. Gabriel Jesus is injured where we're concerned. Chelsea don't really have an out-and-out striker like that. And obviously, Broja's now got injured as well. Manchester United have let Cristiano Ronaldo go. And on a similar basis, they Martial, Rashford, so, you know, they've got attackers, a bit like Arsenal, but we don't really have strikers. Yes, we've got Eddie and Nketiah and things. So it's easier to link all three clubs with this player. I'm not saying any club isn't interested. I personally believe that the door is shut with Vlahovic, just because we'll never know. It's a bit of whispers, but we did hear they were blanking calls in it. This goes against what we read here about we've contacted the reps. But if our calls were getting blanked, it doesn't matter how much we like the player, which clearly we did due to trying to bid for him and agree fees and the rest of it. Our calls got blanked, so I don't think we'll do business with them anymore, people. So that probably puts Man United and Chelsea in the driving seat. We've probably got more chance of signing João Felix, and with that being said, people, that's probably, it's not that it can't happen, but it's probably unrealistic to put it cleanly, people. And on the topic of João Felix, let me just make sure I've typed that in so we can relay that. But yeah, allegedly, that's what's happened, people. We don't know this. Ben Jacobs has said, I'm told there's a real possibility Vlahovic will leave Juventus in 2023. A January exit is not being ruled out by those close to him. Several top European clubs are in touch with his agent, including Chelsea, although nothing particularly advanced at this point. Weren't Chelsea meant to get Nkunku? Aren't they about to get Makoko? Yeah, Aubameyang's not got that long left in the tank in terms of his career, but you've got Aubameyang, Pulisic, Sterling, Broja technically just signed a new deal but injured. They got a bunch of attackers allegedly. So I'm not too sure what to read into that. Interested clubs are trying to understand first and foremost how urgent or how early Vlahovic is prepared to move, and whether Juventus off-field troubles and new incoming board has changed anything in their favor. Vlahovic has 6 goals in 10 Serie A games. He's denied he's unhappy playing under Allegri, but Juventus are open to cashing in, knowing Champions League by no means guaranteed next season, and they may face sporting sanctions due to an ongoing investigation into alleged false accounting. I mean, we all saw the Pjanic Fabello swap deal. I mean, that was dodgy from that word already, people. But, you know, Juventus have, I won't say turned their season around, but they're kind of getting it together. So, again, it's leveraging the fact of financial sanctions off the field, RICO cases, and obviously the consequences for them of spending all this money and not being in the Champions League, people. So it is what it is. It remains to be seen whether Arsenal try again, having pushed hard in January to try and sign him from Fiorentina. Gabriel Jesus' injury will naturally prompt links with strikers and some concrete inquiries too, as you've seen Tammy Abraham, Jonathan David, Vlahovic, Felix, who can play up there, and a bunch of others, people. but told nothing significant between Vlahovic and Arsenal just yet. Most suitors felt prior to the World Cup there was an opportunity for a summer transfer, especially PSG. January now not impossible, although Vlahovic is dealing with a groin injury. This has been a persistent problem for him, which we've already got one striker, injured striker. Juventus are running further tests, and some suitors may be wary of his injury record. Definitely a name to watch, despite having only been at Juventus a year. It is what it is, people. Apparently, Italian journalist with a good track record to Juventus. He's not going anywhere. Ben Jacobs, he's leaving, sure. I mean, Ben Jacobs, I don't know if he's credible or whatever in it, but that's what he said here. Arsenal open to striker signing as transfer plans accelerated after Gabriel Jesus' injury. Arsenal are poised to reach for the checkbook when the January transfer window opens after losing attacking talisman Gab Jesus to a knee injury, says Ryan Taylor. Let's see if he contradicts anything Ben Jacobs has said. Arsenal are accelerating their January transfer plans with newly appointed sporting director Edu prepared to sanction the signing of a marquee forward should the right opportunity present itself following Gabriel Jesus' knee injury. Some might say João Felix, who can play up there, is one. Some might say, you know what, could you even go for Ivan Toney? Some might say Vlahovic is one. Some might say Tammy's one. Then there's probably going to be a next one. I mean, we all watched the Argentina game. It'd have been lovely if where were we when it came to signing Julian Alvarez, you know, for a team like City that spent a shitload of money, quite frankly, on people like Grealish and things like that. What Alvarez cost 15 million. It shows the Alvarez's, the Martinellis. There's deals to have out here. I would have loved Alvarez in this squad, but we'll just have to wait a couple of years until City want to flog him in it. And he's probably unfortunate. Haaland's there. But allegedly, we're prepared to open the checkbook to buy a striker. If we can get a striker, winger, centre mid, or two of the three for me, it'd be lit. Obviously, between now and the summer, can we get probably another centre back as well to complement the squad? So yeah, Gabriel Jesus picked up an injury against Cameroon. Arsenal sources remain reluctant to put a time frame on Jesus' rehabilitation. However, there's an understanding that he could be facing a considerable layoff that threatens to damage the enormous strides the Gunners have made so far on the field this season. The capture of a versatile wide forward capable of providing support and competition for both Martinelli and Saka was always on the agenda for Arsenal this winter, having failed to land the right target in the latter stages of the summer transfer window. As we know, people, we were linked with Pedro Neto, Yeremy Pino, Moussa Diaby. Arsenal now consider Mudryk to be their primary attacking target after opening dialogue with his reps following an array of spellbinding individual performances in this season's Champions League with Shakhtar Donetsk. Mudryk is understood to be excited by the prospect of joining Arsenal, something he has indicated on a number of occasions during a series of interviews in which he outlined his admiration for Mikel Arteta's eye-catching project. However, striking a deal with Shakhtar is unlikely to prove straightforward, with obviously their director of football keen to maximize the club's profit following huge financial losses in the aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. People, they've cited 100 million euros, 86 million. No chance they get that, people. Apparently, no club is yet to enter formal negotiations with Shakhtar for the highly rated 21-year-old prospect. People, Sports Express understand that while Mudryk is undoubtedly Arsenal's primary attacking target, the Gunners are also open-minded about the prospect of signing a centre forward to ease the burden on Eddie Nketiah in the absence of first-choice frontman Jesus. So far, there's been little indication on the profile striker Arsenal would be willing to pursue. However, particularly given a stopgap or loan signing would not currently align with the club's newly diverse transfer policy centered around signing players under the age of 25. So we'll have to see, people. And as I said, Man United and Chelsea in particular got their own things going on. We do have Eddie Nketiah. We do have the unlikely option of recalling Balogun. We do have Operation Martinelli through the middle, although he'd have to play a lot different how he plays off the left right now, and you might lose an informal. I back Martinelli to play as a striker, but you might lose him to a degree because he's gonna have to play with his back to goal. He can do it, but he's gonna have to play with his back to goal, drop deep. He's not really gonna be near the final third consistently, which Jesus was. But you get the point if you've been watching Arsenal. So this article kind of talks us up, people, really and truly. Meanwhile, one of the leading British reps who works for one of the world's most high-profile agencies, any names, recently disclosed to Sportsmail that Arsenal's recruitment has become far more club-driven in the past 18 months, with Edu now recognised as one of the most respected strategic operators in football. That's great. Apparently, Arsenal seem relaxed going into the January market, which you should be relaxed. Arsenal among a long list of clubs who will be kept informed on the future of João Felix after Atletico Madrid CEO confirmed the plans to let him go. We already know with João Felix, he's believed to be angling for a January move, people. Naturally, he would be of interest to Arsenal given his talent and superstar potential, but Atletico are looking to recoup 100 million euros for the 23-year-old. So that's, I don't know, people. George Mendes is on the case. As I said, check out my my YouTube playlist for more transfer news. Allegedly, talk Arsenal have reopened contact with agents of Vlahovic after the entire Juventus board stood down last month is believed to be wide of the mark. That ship has now sailed from the Gunners' perspective, having previously tried to land the Serbian hitman in January before his £62 million move to the Turin. The North London club became agitated with the way they were overlooked by Vlahovic's inner circle during their attempts to secure him a move away from Fiorentina, having failed to respond to Arsenal calls. So that's kind of what I was alleging to people. Mikel Arteta has apparently said, we are looking and we are very active looking at possibilities. If we can find the players that can strengthen the team, we will try. Fair enough, man. Appreciate that. And he's also indicated there were players at the World Cup that caught the attention of the players' recruitment team. Of course, you know, I would start with the Moroccan lads, Amrabat, and I can't pronounce my man's name, Nani, but he plays for Angers in France. Of course, that makes sense, really. And with a bunch of players, you got Kudus who played well. You know, talk to your City boys and try and get Julian Alvarez in it, as unrealistic as it is. Naturally, that makes sense. Apparently, a new central midfielder is also on the agenda for Arsenal, while additional cover at left centre-back is another area that has been identified for improvement. Arsenal among a list of clubs in contention to sign Eintracht Frankfurt central defender Ivan Ndika when his contract expires at the end of the season in June 2023. The Gunners will be free to negotiate with the Frenchman in January when he enters the final 6 months of his deal. Speculative talk of a pre-agreement with Ndika is not currently accurate, allegedly, people. So that's that, really and truly. Once again, this confirms Mikel Arteta saying we'll be very active. If we can find the right players that can strengthen the team, we'll try. By God's grace, that is the case. Arsenal looking like they will get the deal done at the Emirates. This is, you know, doubling down. Give me sport, as probably said, you know, Ivan Ndika is an Arsenal player. More or less. Let's see specifically what he said. It's starting to look like they'll get their man there. Arsenal aren't the only team that want him. He's been getting offers from all around Europe, but their good season has put them in a good position. Fair enough. Is there anything else? I mean, it's just said that, and it's all whispers at this moment. This article just further confirms we've been linked with Ferran Torres. Check out my YouTube playlist, my transfer news playlist. We've spoken about that. He can play out wide as well as false nine. He's 22. There's a player there for Arteta to work with, but I'm not too sure on the credibility. Arsenal want Mudryk, and apparently European football expert Andy Brazil is expecting him to be a Premier League player in January. He's very quick. He's got great game intelligence. He was brilliant in the Champions League this season for Shakhtar. He was very, very close to ending up not far down the road from here at Brentford in the summer. I think Brentford have definitely missed their Mudryk window because playing so in the Champions League has knocked his price right up. There are a few Premier League clubs really interested in him. It's a difficult deal to piece together and negotiations are happening at the moment, but I would expect him to be a Premier League player by the end of January, allegedly. And once again, Arsenal allegedly are the favourites to sign the Ukrainian international. Arsenal, Fabrizio Romano said Arsenal are in contact with those close to Mudryk and love the player. I mean, at this point, we already know that. I can reveal that Arsenal are considering a new signing because of Gabriel Jesus' injury being more serious than initially expected. However, Balogun is expected to continue his long season at Reims as things stand. The Mudryk situation is still the same. Arsenal are in contact with people close to the deal. They love the player, but there's no official bid to Shakhtar yet. If he joins, it'd be interesting to see if he could be deployed as a direct replacement for Jesus, or if Arteta would move Martinelli into the middle. Either way, it would be a good problem to have. Amen, really. Again, Tomiyasu's been linked with a swap deal to Inter Milan. He's been linked with a couple of Italian clubs. Denzel Dumfries for Tomiyasu. Myth, you know, we finally got an adaptable player that can play left back, right back, centre back, inner back four, inner back three, just does his job. Bring Denzel Dumfries if you want. Don't let Tomiyasu go unless he's told you he wants to go. Arsenal reportedly came up with an idea of sending Dumfries to Inter in exchange. Sending Tomiyasu to Inter in exchange for Denzel Dumfries. I'm not too sure. But this article has said Arsenal also emerged to have explored a deal for Dumfries and offered Inter a swap deal, including Tomiyasu, who has struggled for consistent minutes this season under Arteta. Myth. Apparently, for what it's worth, Inter are not interested in the proposal. They're only open to cash deals. They're hoping to recoup around 50 to 60 million pounds if they are to sell euros, better yet, if they are to sell the Dutchman. So we'll have to see. And this further confirms such as well, people. I think that is a myth. Romano has said, Inter are not looking for swap deals for Denzel Dumfries, Dumfries, as my Dutch followers tell me, that's how you meant to say it. As things stand, big money or nothing is their stance, and the absolute priority is to keep Dumfries at least until the end of the season. So despite some talk of interest from Arsenal and a swap deal involving Tomiyasu, I don't think Arsenal will invest big money there, of course, because right back is an area we might be able to add depth in, but Ben White's doing well there. You've got Tomiyasu, he can play there. You know, we're a bit weak in midfield. We're kind of worried with what's going on up front. We have had a pursuit for a wide man. So there's other priorities, really. You could argue bringing in a central defender over a fullback, really. But it all probably depends on Cedric leaving, which apparently Arteta said no while we assess who's coming in and things. Who knows? We've been linked with Cristiano Ronaldo once again, people. Skipping just to this paragraph here. With this in mind, the Arsenal option is gaining around. The Gunners would like to join the race for the Portuguese, trying to convince him to stay in England as early as January 2023. Obviously, the offer cannot be as rich as the Saudi one, but there's the will to make an attempt. I don't believe that, but I'm sharing it with you nonetheless. Apparently, we've moved away from wanting Danilo. Arsenal's interest in removing Danilo from Palmeiras cools down. Does that mean we found another target? Does that mean we're not as convinced as we previously were? Does that mean the finances around the deal, there's been a bit of a shift? Who knows, people? Maybe it's none of that, and just a better centre mid become available in January for Arsenal, or Mikel Arteta and Edu deem it. Maybe there's something they don't like in his game. Maybe they believed in him and further scouting, they're not really convinced at this moment in time. Who knows, really and truly, people? We'll have to see. Apparently, it's less and less likely the English club will make a proposal to Palmeiras to have the 21-year-old player, one of the club's main revelations. And the reason for this on two fronts. In the first, the London club assesses the severity of Gabriel Jesus' injury. What does that have to do with it? The priority will be to focus efforts and resources on a replacement. But you heard 20-odd million for Danilo. There's two different entities, but okay. The information was initially revealed by the English portal The Mirror. Again, Google Translate not being helpful to us. Gabriel Jesus will require an operation on his right knee. We already know that. Okay. What does this mean? Okay, that's good. And apparently we did have constant dealings with Danilo, people. And again, you're seeing 30 million euros. Apparently Danilo counting on a termination fine that exceeds 100 million euros, which again, this is not being helpful. I think that means release clause. He has a contract until 2026. Arsenal faced a difficult negotiation with Palmeiras in the European summer window when trying to reduce the previously indicated amount. But the plan was to return now in January. And that won't happen, people. Now the dream of consumption of the English is also Matheus Cunha. That's great. Without the match, Palmeiras celebrates internally. I mean, because they'll keep Danilo. So it's not really being specific on why we've moved away from Danilo. Let's try and find another article, because Google Translate has not helped us out one bit, people, in that regards. In fact, here's one here. Google Translate has not helped us, but where there's a will, there's a way. Arsenal's interest in Danilo is completely cooled. In somewhat of a surprising twist, Arsenal's interest in Danilo is completely cooled ahead of the January window, according to reports from Brazil and the 21-year-old people. It appeared he'd be a formality. It was seen that we'd pay 25 odd million for him, but for what reason or not is cooled. According to the report, Arsenal's interest in the youngster has dramatically cooled following the World Cup. It's noted that Arsenal are focused on signing a new striker. Okay, but specifically to the centre mid, why? Do we deem that we're actually, Lokonga second half of the season, El Nene, Thomas Partey and Xhaka stay fit, Fabio Vieira, Odegaard, Smith Rowe? We have bodies in midfield where we have less bodies in up front, and we're going to go and sign a marquee striker. I haven't just convinced Jesus. I don't know. I'm just trying to find reasoning, but it hasn't said a specific reason, so we're just going to have to leave that up for debate, people. We've been linked with Yunus Musa, and we've been told how much we'll need to spend. Allegedly, it will cost us 21 million quid, which bring him home if that's the case, people. We have tried to sign Disasi before he even joined Monaco and that, people. West Ham and Tottenham have also scouted him. If you're scouting him at the World Cup, a bit like Saliba, you're out of luck because they're not playing, are they? But a good little defender, not a left-sided centre-back, but can play there, people. Does have a bit of the bozo gene in him, but we have scouted the 24-year-old. It doesn't mean we're going to go for him, though, people. He looks like he'll have a decent future in the game. We've been linked with Asensio. Again, people, I'm not sure anyone believes that as his contract rumbles on and the nonsense regarding that. Newcastle have joined Manchester United and Arsenal in the race for Rangers. Wonder Kid, we've been linked with Jack Wiley, again, the 15-year-old, who allegedly our interest goes back beyond May. So we'll have to see how that develops. But yeah, man, Vlahovic, Mudryk, Felix, Danilo, everyone but Telemans. I don't know where you lot are at. Let me know your opinions where the information we discussed in that video is concerned. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, subscribing. Most importantly, stay blessed, stay safe. Check out the playlist, and I'll see you lot again. With that, that ends our transfer news, people. I'm out.
There's always that active and defenders. I think it's like